we know that the 5-MeO is the same. So if we don't turn to serotonin, it will turn. So that's why we're in the dark room. When you have staying in here, it's the three things you have to know. Quiet, okay. So very strictly, you have to help me is talking, okay, and the noise. When you drop your back, if you can practice gentleness and calm, that means slowly drop down, not boom, make a lot of noise. And when you pull them out, you don't have to be pull them back in, because you a little bit half is okay when you drop down, okay. But sometimes if you want to take it back, if not, when they come back, so over there you have one, okay, everybody already, I think you go through it. And over here you have two, and the water is there, so everybody know. If you hit a balloon, there's something you need to know. If you get lost, always find the balloon, okay? So remember the balloon. This is a big balloon, this big balloon. If you hit this balloon, you want to get out. If you hit this balloon, you go up, okay? Now, when you don't turn them into, when the quiet, darkness, and your mind are more simple, sometimes you just empty your mind. And we have in the fusion of drilling and empty the mind, drill. And focus. And see, when you see the light and the color, so when you focus in the light and color, your mind is more fixed, okay? And you focus in the Dantian, your mind is more fixed. And when people speaking or making noise, when they're speaking or making noise, you just have to tell, you just like this, shh, that's it, okay? Now, you sometimes, it's more often going to happen a lot when people snore, okay? Okay, so you just have to keep them at elbow, okay? And so they stop snore for a while. When people snore a lot, sometimes they need to sit up, and otherwise it's snore, you know. And now we try to keep the noise down as much as we can, okay? And we try not to speak, because when you speak, you need to use so much mind power to do that. A lot of mind power, okay? So if you started too busy in the mind, too busy in the heart, think this and think that, now the body will turn the melatonin into serotonin, okay? Now you become very active, okay? But when you can absorb the darkness, absorb the quietness, and you started to see the light. So in the beginning, some of you will sleep and sleep and sleep. That is the healing process. Sleep for 1 or 2 days or 3 days. And after that, you're going to sleep lesser, because you started to change the daytime or nighttime, they're the same. And when you quiet and practice a lot, you sleep much lesser. And that is the most important time, is you quiet. And sometimes when you think you cannot quiet, you start put your finger in the navel and you spin backward. Put it and spin backward. Okay. Or just go into the creating cycle and smile to the organ. And after that, you finish, spin backward. You spin backward until sometimes you suddenly think that you go to sleep, but you're not asleep. Okay. Yeah. And when you go to that level, when you have enough energy, and you go right into the DMT part, okay, the DMT part, because all is the same as tryptophan, melatonin, and serotonin, okay, so that is all the same. So the 5-MeO and DMT, they're also the same thing. So that's all of them are the same chemistry. So that's why we call the spiritual molecule. Okay, we are actually in the mother womb for what? 9 months. You are in a perfect dark room. 9 months, no light, nothing. Okay, and it's very. So that's the dark room. Exactly, you go into the womb of the mother. And it's so dark, so nourishing, and now you started to much more. So the whole key, we have to really understand the Dantian. And if you see that in 1 week you do it right, you have so many rejuvenation. Your skin change, your cell change, your DNA change, everything started to change. Okay, that means if you go back to 2nd and 3rd week, now you can see a big change in your body. A big change, okay. We call the what? Cactus, the peyote, you know, right? Okay. And that is more in the South America, okay. And people, they don't want to do any practice. That's why they Mother Lisa take the thing that I cannot follow you anymore. So that is the drug effect of all these things. But if you understand the spiritual molecule, it starts from the melatonin, and they have to have enough in the dark to producing the 5-MeO and to producing the DMT. Once you get the DMT, you sit or you laying down, you feel you are separate. So that's why in the Tao said, in Tibetan or the other thing they call little death. Okay, actually we sleeping, the melatonin is the same hormone make us a little death. Okay, but in a Tao way, we believe that if you have enough molecule of this DMT and the 5-MeO, you are started to you are building up, you are not using up. That's the whole key. A lot of drugs is you are using them up and you don't build them up. And that's why we don't have anymore. When people because for us to actually activate the DMT, the body has to use a lot of energy in order to do that. You see, so that's why in the dark room, perfect palm, you can experience a separation, and you started to feel that this is not death, but it's separation of the physical and the soul, and the spirit energy. The chemistry part of it, but the most important part is the creating cycle part. We're going to emphasize a lot of this in this currently. One simple theory is that we start with the water. So this creating cycle. So a creating cycle, you have to really experience it. Okay, because water creating the water. If we say the water give birth to the wood. So when you have water and you multiply them in the bladder and you get them into the liver and they multiply, so the wood grow. When the wood grow, you can burn to fire. And when you bring down to the small intestine, it settles down, it becomes earth. And you bring this one into the earth element, the spleen, and you have more earth. And when you have enough energy, so any empty with empty valve, empty organ can multiply the organ, multiply. So that's why, and the earth, when you have enough earth, it creating and give birth to the metal. Metal will draw in water and condensing the water and turn into more water. So the whole key is the valve. The whole key to multiply energy is the empty organ. Okay, so like the kidney, the empty organ is the bladder. So when the energy go into the bladder and you fill it and you multiply. So that's why the creation cycle are multiply the energy. So when you go to the liver, it multiply and grow the wood, and you go to the gallbladder and you multiply. And from that go to the heart, and you multiply more energy in the heart. And when you bring into the small intestine, it multiply. Okay? And it creating more earth, and the earth creating more metal. So now if you go on like this, you have this creating cycle. When you creating cycle, your organ energy multiply. At the same time, you multiply the color. Okay? So the kidney blue light, the liver white light, the heart red light, the spleen yellow light, the lung white light, and multiply the good virtue energy. The whole key about we multiply the organ energy from material into immaterial. Okay, so from the material into immaterial, in this way we started to see that every organ can be multiplied. Okay, and you have a container of the energy go nowhere. So energy have no form. Energy have no form. So when you multiply the energy can start to have multiply. And when you multiply the good virtue energy, and this good virtue energy and the energy of the organ and the color is the food of the soul and the spirit. So that is the major part. Okay, so now all the organ that you multiply, now your organ have more energy, and finally when you come back to the bladder, now this energy will condense, and the energy multiply. Okay, so there's a whole key of that, and so we draw so much from the fusion. And the protection is very important in the practice, because later on you are more by yourself. Now, so in the currently we start with the water and fire, so the two power now. Okay, so but when you so the first thing you get all the multiply the energy. And now we come back to dissolve into water and fire. Okay, so the basic part is that water, we have different alchemy. Okay, so we have water actually is the bladder part. Also the major collection point of the perineum and the bladder. So you're gathering so the sexual energy is very important. Because the Hui-Yin, we're going to talk about Hui-Yin, or we call $1 million point. Okay, the Hui-Yin, $1 million point, gathering all the Yin forces, because the Yin is energy. So what happened? When the Yin energy, there are no form. So if you don't have a container, you cannot hold them. So the Hui-Yin are built exactly like that. So in the olden time, the Tao always said this is $1 million, actually they call, when the Tao master press your point, and they have to charge for 10,000 pieces of gold. As you combine the 10,000, you calculate out 10,000 pieces of gold, about like this, small in, and that's in many million. So that's why they call $1 million point. So this $1 million point, so there are 2 points that you have to get it. So my emphasis now, this time you must get it. The Hui-Yin, the magic cave, you have to get it, and the crystal room, you have to get it. Otherwise, you cannot capture energy. You cannot capture energy. Because yin energy, sexual energy is no form, earth energy, no form, organ energy, no form, the energy from above, also no form. So the wind is a place that when you activate them, it can draw energy and fix them. It's like a container, but this container also processing the energy. This container also processing the energy. And that is the major key. When this processing the energy, now the energy will stay. Otherwise, the whole key about all the practice, how can you capture energy? Because energy no form. Like the air no form. So we breathe, now is that, what we're breathing, we don't know, right? But we know that we don't breathe, we die. But now when you're breaking down, we know, oh, I breathe in oxygen. But how we use them? The lung convert them. So that's why the Tao say, oh, lung is important. So they put them in the beginning on the sequencing sound. Lung is the one carry energy. Because lung convert the air into our energy. Without the lung, we finish. We cannot breathe. When people cannot breathe, they die. Okay. So that's why the fixing, holding the energy is the key. Because we are working with this space, but we have nothing to hold the energy. But we are born with physical, hold the energy. We're born with the organ, hold the soul spirit, because spirit is also what? Have form or no form? No form. So when the spirit floating around like this too long, they disperse. So when they come to our body, we have the physical, a big container. And where organ by organ is a small container for the soul and spirit. So now the soul and spirit can stay with us, okay? But there's still energy. There still are energy. So we have a container to hold them, okay? And that is the major key of the whole practice. A container that can hold the soul spirit within us. And now we know that the soul spirit is energy. So all what we're doing here, we need energy. We need to producing energy to feed them. We need to produce energy to feed them. Because when I produce enough energy and refine them enough, they can feed the soul and spirit. And that's the whole key of the practice here. And they grow and they grow, and that's how they can separate. When they grow, they can separate from the physical and travel at will. But when they are not, they're afraid of going out because it's a child. You cannot leave a child on the street. You cannot leave a child in the jungle, they get lost. You see? And they're so afraid and they cry because they are a child. So in our body, it's a child soul. They are ungrown up, uneducated. And you have fear. So when people talk about death, they fear because they don't know where they're going to go. So that's why the Tao said, the whole key that you are practicing now, like from the fusion until currently, is overcome the fear of death. It's just a separation of it. And when you go in to understand this very clearly now, you can know that, oh, this is a separation. It's not death. But your soul and spirit have to grow enough. So the whole key is energy that we're doing here. Because all they need is energy, feed them, feed them, feed them. All you do, feed them, and one day they grow. It's just, oh, finish. Oh, you grow. Yeah. So now they are no fear. Okay. So when we get all the water, put it in the collection point, and when we get all the fire, so the fire, we have the adrenaline, we have the thymus, we have the heart itself, we have the energy above. So they're all what? No form. They have no form. So all the thing is we have no form. We have to make them to have a form. This whole key, we have to make them to have a form. The whole practice is make them have a form. When they no form, what you're gonna catch, you know. When humans learn how to capture the gas and condense them into liquid, so we call liquid oxygen now, and the liquid nitrogen and liquid hydrogen. Oh, I don't know how, I heard about, I still don't know, I just heard about from the CNN. They said one of the scientists, from where? He can capture the hydrogen, and compress them into metal. Boom. So you get the air, no form. That when you make them to liquid, you already have a form, right? But now when you compress them enough, boom, the liquid, the nitrogen become, the hydrogen become a metal hydrogen. It's a solid now. From the gas, you fix them into metal. Okay, so the metal of the hydrogen, or in the future everything will be. Okay, and the conducting of energy is many times more than all the things we know. The goal and everything is going to change the whole world of doing thing now in thing. Now the whole key in the Tao is the same thing that they do. We know now the Huyin can do that, and the crystal room can capture the light and spread the light, but we have something to capture the light, the separating of the light, and that is the organ. But if you don't get enough organ energy, you don't refine them enough, you cannot capture the light. Okay, so that's why you have chance to do this in the dark. So now we also know that when we have metal, it draws more water and you add up more water. When you have wood, you grow more wood and you're creating more fire. And that is the moisture part that we do. Okay, so we have a place to capture them. And now in the Tao, they always talk about a cauldron, because if you put the water into the fire, what happens? It distinguishes. But if you have a stove and you have a pot, so you put the fire in the stove, and you put the water, or we call a symbolic water. Okay, and in this part, sometimes the Tao always talk about sexual energy, like water element, and it's the solvent. The water like solvent, or it can dissolve, or like mercury, it dissolves everything. It dissolves any metal. Okay, so that's why the sexual energy, the earth energy, the kidney energy, the organ gene energy, when you have them and put them in, now we started to have what we call the alchemy part. So the water and fire started to change. So that's why in here we see the wood element, you grow them. So that's why the creating cycle. You grow them, the wood will add more fire into the heart. Metal will get more energy into the water. And that is and the energy come out. So sometimes we just give a sample and we say a steaming process, a steam, okay? And we use this energy, refined energy, to steaming the organ. So we're steaming different organ, steaming the brain, steaming the spine, and we have talking about the cell intercross. Actually, the two forces again. The two forces. One yin forces, one yang forces come together. And Huyin, the Huyin. So the Huyin, now we know that this is the pelvic diaphragm and urogenital diaphragm. This diaphragm are so affected with the cranial diaphragm. Okay, And we're going to work a lot every day. We're going to work a lot. So we're going to work on, you're going to get more experience in when the normal breath stop, the true breath begin. Okay? So we have to, when we hold the breath to one level, now, the most important part, I got you to activate the pelvic diaphragm. We activate them. When the pelvic diaphragm activate, the cranial diaphragm activate. Okay. Usually, when you hold for a while, the abdominal diaphragm activate. But in here, if you activate this diaphragm, the cranial diaphragm activate. Okay. And when the cranial diaphragm activate, especially this whole crowd is opening and breathing. And so we're going to stick with very simple, when the normal breath stop, the true breath begin. Okay? And there's a whole dark room you're going to do that. Over and over and over and over and over and over. Open more and open more every time you do. Open more and open more until you get this very clear about all this light and energy and the violet light. You're very clear coming to you. It's very clear. Okay? So that's why all this activate the sexual organ. You activate the sexual energy by itself when your pelvic diaphragm activate, and you go back up to the head. So the pelvic diaphragm activate and the cranial diaphragm activate, and now you draw in the power, the energy. Okay? Because the true breath, the cosmic breath, cosmic energy, not go to the nose, but go to all the energetic point to come in. Okay? So that is, you're going to see that how all these gland systems are activated by all this energy. The thymus, the thyroid, parathyroid, the pituitary gland, the pineal gland, the thalamus, hypothalamus, all this crystal room is activated. All the center of the brain are activated. And we also go into the immune system, the lymphatic system. So all this immune system, because the energy actually is changing. The energy actually is changing the whole system in the body. Okay. You see the cranial opening, you can feel all these things shooting loose and breathing. And that is a major key we need to work on it. Okay. And so all this major key of this scalp is shoot loose, and the energy can come in much easier. Basically going to use this one more. The rest we're not going to do too much in here. Basically is this one. So let's go together. See, you can remember that. Otherwise, I lead you to also. So the purple light, the small brain, okay. So this one, the Jade Palace, the power of the small brain here. Purple light, dark blue light, light blue, dark blue, light blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. Okay? Let's come to here. A small brain, purple, the purple light activate them. And the dark blue light, so let's go together. And memory center in here, memory center. Small brain, let's touch it. Small brain, purple light, and the memory here, the dark blue, and the pineal gland, light blue, and the thalamus, green, and hypothalamus, yellow, and the olfactory, the smelling center, from here in, and the third eye, the red, the 7 star, the red color here, right here. Okay, okay. Let's start again. Small brain, purple, and the memory center, dark blue. We're going to use them in the practice. Okay, we're going to use them in the practice, and the pineal gland, light blue, and the thalamus, green, and hypothalamus is all in the center. Hypothalamus is the yellow, and the olfactory from the nose here all the way in there is the orange, and the third eye is red. Okay, so this is your body part corresponding the body glands. Mostly is the gland system. Okay, and that's what we use a lot on this in the practice to stimulate the glands. To actually, the whole thing is a chemical, the chemistry of of it. Okay. The rest is too much to remember. This like this is the body part, like this the bone part, like this the name is too much. But you have all in the handbook, and you have the book, Lester Lee book also, because some of the things, when you are good with it, you can look at it and you can do some practice your own, which one you like to practice. So now they are, if you look this part, now they have more and more study about all this part of the brain. Okay, and when you really feel your cranial activate, and you can feel a lot of energy coming in and a lot of light coming in. That's the time you change. It changes the whole chemistry. The whole chemistry in your brain changes. Okay, and so that is the. This is the how all the light and rainbow light, actually the violet light, creating the rainbow light and refracting, and that is spreading out into the brain. Okay, so the whole brain you can see, because human brain are so much can take light in and reflecting light, and especially the crystal room is capture light and is spread out to the rainbow color, and that is whole brain light up with rainbow color, because brain need a lot of energy. Okay, brain need a lot of energy. So this black light actually is the dark violet light. Now we know. So they always talk about, you see big, very dark. So that's why in the darkness, actually the whole universe covered with violet light. It's a dark violet light, a very dark violet light. Okay, and we're going to do a lot of bone breathing, and this is going to be open a lot until you really feel you open it. Okay, and the third eye actually is right in the middle here. Now we're going to go into the steaming in the organs. Okay, so in the currently, lexically, it's too much. So that's why we have to cut it down a little bit. We're just going to be simple holding the point and steam. So there's only a few points you need to remember. We just don't want to work too much on the leg part, just on the fingers. So the lung, steaming the lung, holding the lung point. Okay, lung and large intestine, there's one pair. And and the last steaming lung, last intestine, and you start into the stomach and the spleen. So we're going to holding the point, the heart and small intestine, okay, heart and the small intestine, okay. So once you actually activate and holding the point, you can see the steaming happen. And when you do the creating cycle part, the more energy, much more creating more power. So the meridian part, we're not going to go to it because it's too much into a dark for you to find all the point. We just hold the point, a major point, and we steam in the organ, and a lot of things happen by itself. Okay, so there is the 12 meridian and the organs. So the organ point, we're going to be only work on the finger part only. This one, we're not going to work with it. Maybe in the lesser, greater canal D part. Okay, or this big deeper part. We only use this part, this one only, in lesser canal D. We're using the gland system in the big dipper and the collar. The rest we don't, it's too complicated. And when you're in the dark, too complicated, your mind think too much. And your mind cannot calm and your heart cannot calm. So we use on this one. So you remember that, we're going to use this. Huh? You can write it down, but you're not going to see in the dark. Okay? The morning tea, you have the lymphatic, you have two pills. One is for the liver, one is for the kidney, liver and kidney. And the tea is for lymphatic system. That's all. Okay? And then you have also ginger tea or something like that. And after you have that, I coming in 7:30, and we do the morning exercise. Yes.
Okay, Master Chia. We saw pictures on the screen about the cauldron. Did you speak anything of forming the cauldron, or is that going to be in the
The whole key is that Dantian is self-creating a cauldron. Okay, so in the Tao way, we talk about cauldron, are very equivalent to the Indian, the chakras. But the Tao look at this as an alchemy process. It's a container or alchemy process. So in the Tao say, you're born with it. You have the cauldron there. All you do, you just have to understand what the function of the cauldron. If you don't have a clear concept of the cauldron, as I told you that water and fire, they are two oldest enemy. Okay, so you get the water and pour into the fire. You distinguish the fire, and then nothing to practice, right? So that's why it's just like a concept of you to handle this part. But the Tao said, listen, you born with a cauldron in the Dantian. So we believe that a cauldron in the Dantian, cauldron in the solar plexus, cauldron in the heart, and cauldron in the throat, and mid-eyebrow, and the crown. You have that. You're born with it. Okay? Or equivalent to like the chakras is processing the energy process. Okay? But in the Tao way, we said we want to be more balancing and harmony and the steaming power like that. So actually it's not a concept, but we know now that the Dantian are born to transforming energy. And when you have that one set in the lesser greater canali, you move up to the next cauldron. So you're born with it.
That's great. I've done the higher centers after that.
Right. And you're born with it. and you believe that way, that is easy to do. Okay, otherwise I have to install a cauldron into your navel. It's a lot of work. Okay.